Some of the greatest albums in music history were born not out of years of meticulous planning, but in the heat of inspiration and urgency. These classic records, often crafted in mere weeks or days, defy the notion that great art always requires lengthy refinement. Instead, they showcase the power of raw emotion and focused creativity. And most importantly, they prove that sometimes lightning-fast production can strike gold. Kanye's 808s and Heartbreak has been widely discussed over the years. We know the album was deeply influenced by two personal tragedies, the loss of his mother and the end of his engagement. What's even more sad is how these events coincided with the pivotal moment in his career. He had just achieved superstar status with Graduation, defeating 50 Cent in their highly publicized sales battle. But less than 2 weeks later, he received the devastating news of his mother's passing.
I'm at that point where, I long to have a family, and especially losing my mother. I just really wish that I had the type of woman that would have supported me through a situation like that, and been very selfless. And it's really hard for me,
Rather than taking time to mourn, he chose to continue with his Glow in the Dark tour. He preferred to work through the pain and heal by staying busy.
I mean, all of our hearts just go out to you because it has been a tough thing for you to get through, and I would assume touring has helped you to continue on, and music has helped you a lot.
Yeah.
It was during this tour that the seeds of 808s and Heartbreaks were planted. Ye began with experimenting with autotune on stage, particularly during the performances of Good Life.
Sometimes in the shows, we started doing he would have A-Track drop the track out, and it would just be silence, and it would just be me and Kanye. So we had started, establishing a connection musically, which is kind of what led to 808s and Heartbreaks, is where we would just play piano and do a melody.
Around this time, he started speaking about wanting to create a singing-focused album. However, it wasn't until after the tour when he traveled to Hawaii that he began working on the project. What I found interesting was Kanye didn't initially go to Hawaii to make a new album. He at first was out there to contribute to Jay-Z's The Blueprint 3.
One day we just saw each other and he's like, yeah, I'm about to go to Hawaii and work on some beats for Jay. You want to come and work together? So we flew out of Hawaii and we really did work for Jay.
The Blueprint 3, you were working on that first, and then
That's what we were working on. And it wasn't until we made Heartless that he was like, nah, I'm doing an album. And that was how 808s and Heartbreak came into play. I was like, just give it to him. He's like, no. Hell no.
Yeah, he said, I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
Another track, Welcome to Heartbreak, was also initially intended for the Blueprint 3. Everything leading up to that moment, including his arrival in Hawaii, felt like a perfect storm that allowed this album to come to life. It was as if he was being guided by something beyond himself. He had achieved all the success he had ever wanted, but lost all the things he valued most, leaving him with nothing else to lose.
I don't have nothing to lose.
Right.
I have no loss. There's no loss that can happen to me. What can I lose?
Well, whatever you could maybe sell less records than you might if you went the traditional route.
Selling less records ain't gonna bring my mother back.
The sense of freedom sparked a fearless spirit within him. With the core group of producers, he locked in and expressed himself in ways he'd been too afraid to before.
Sometimes you dream, you can hear a song all the way through, and what happens with your creativity is blocked by what society says you should do. You always overthink yourself.
I'm like, I really love music, and I love to sing these songs, and I can make music. So why not just make music?
Many of the songs were created spontaneously, often in as little as 5 to 15 minutes. While these were raw ideas initially, the team spent weeks polishing them. The entire album came together really fast, written in 3 weeks and mixed in just 2.
When does the CD come out?
We just got the date. I had L.A. Reid fly in. I talked to Jay-Z. I finished it in 3 weeks. I had all these ideas, and I just wanted to, I just needed to get it out as an artistic vision of what I wanted to do and what I felt. And people talked about changing the name on the album because everyone's so used to me just rapping on the album. And I was like, I don't have a rapper's name. I'm Kanye West, so whatever I do, that's what I do. That's what I felt at the time.
For me, it's 3 factors that define this album. The tragic circumstances surrounding its creation, but also the speed of its production and its minimalistic approach. Speed can be an artist's greatest ally. Sometimes capturing an idea quickly without constantly second-guessing its quality is the best approach. By letting go of fears and expectations, he channeled his emotions into the music. Many of the melodies started as raw mumbles, which were later refined into lyrics, while making sure to preserve the original emotion.
I try not to think about
the lyrics in the song. It's like the heartbreak deals with pain that I've dealt with, and it's there's a lot of songs I went and freestyled them in like 5 minutes, and then went back and like scrutinized the lyrics a bit. But yeah, I wrote Love Like Down like in 5 minutes.
During this period, he really spoke about his pain, including the loss of his mother and his breakup. His collaborators only truly understood his feelings through the music. He saved all the confusion and heartache for the songs, and it worked. The album's minimalistic production is another hallmark. Beyond the melodic choices and use of autotune, the sound is stripped down yet still powerful. 808s and Heartbreak is the perfect name for the sound of this project. It literally features the iconic Roland 808 drums paired with the vocal effect that is actually named Heartbreak, a blend of distortion and autotune. So we have the organic sounding drums layered against the electronic 808s and heavily processed vocals. What came out of it was a very haunting sound. Collaboration also played a key role in the album's quick turnaround. For the first time, he embraced working with multiple writers and producers simultaneously, setting aside the do-it-all-yourself mentality that's common in hip-hop. He ran multiple sessions at once, with ideas constantly flowing between collaborators. This allowed him to focus on the bigger picture while letting others help him bring his vision to life. Ultimately, the music was the priority. Hip-hop values individuality a lot. Artists write their own lyrics and producers craft their beats alone. But this project redefined that approach. By opening up to collaboration, he was able to create something truly transformative. This just reminds me that collaboration is key. When the album was completed, they sat down and agreed on one thing. People would either love it or think it was absolute garbage. When it was released, it faced heavy criticism. Many listeners weren't ready for Ye's dramatic shift in style, while others simply thought the music wasn't good.
New album. I didn't say I said I wasn't a big fan of it. You know what I'm saying? Put the glasses on.
I'm worried about you. I am. I'm gonna be honest. Like I just keep reading things about, I don't know, your state and you're depressed and I keep reading things. I'm a little concerned about you. And then there's this drastic change in your music. Are you okay?
Like, are you okay? They're like,
are you okay?
Yeah.
However, over time, opinions changed. People grew to appreciate the album. Today, 808s and Heartbreak is considered a groundbreaking project that shaped the sound of a new generation of artists, and it cemented its place as one of the most important albums in modern music history. And it only took 3 weeks to make. Although they never publicly admitted it, Outkast had effectively broken up in 2003. Big Boy had gone solo, preparing to release his album, which was finished and ready to drop. But as the release date approached, L.A. Reid received an unexpected call from Andre 3000. He asked when Big Boy's album was coming out, and how much time he had if he wanted to release something alongside it.
Big Boy was gone solo. We've already done a photo shoot. We've picked the single. We've put the date on the calendar. We're moving forward. And then I get that call from Andre, and he says, how much time do I have? And I told him 3 weeks. And I just remember him saying, okay.
And with that, the race began. At the time, no one even knew Andre 3000 was interested in making an album. He had grown disillusioned with the music industry, frustrated by his expectations. Touring had become a burden, and he had turned down significant opportunities and money. Naturally, this created tension between him and Big Boy. Big Boy wanted to continue working and expanding their success, but Andre was pulling away. The two were rarely speaking, let alone collaborating. Andre had even started recording at home because he no longer enjoyed working in the iconic Stankonia studios. Publicly, they maintained the appearance of being on good terms, but the reality was more complicated.
We work out of the different studios. I work out of Stankonia, he works out of his home studio, but it's always just been about the music, so when they say Outkast is breaking up, that's never been the case, ever. I mean, we can give a fuck about this music, that's my buddy, you know what I'm saying? But first and foremost,
Big Boy and Dre were going back and forth with that for almost a year before. It's like they had said they weren't gonna work again.
Later on, while promoting the project, 3000 let it slip in an interview that if they weren't in a group with each other, he doubted they'd still be friends. Things like sobriety had become important to him, and being around people drinking and smoking clashed with his lifestyle. Creatively, they were heading in different directions. Initially, Andre had envisioned creating a movie accompanied by an album, with each track representing a character from the film. However, those around him pushed for a different approach, a solo album packaged with Big Boy's, marketed as a double album. They weren't working with each other and they didn't want to work with each other. It's worth noting that Andre 3000 didn't start his album from scratch in those 3 weeks. He had rough one-take ideas recorded in his home studio. This was because he had gotten himself Pro Tools, but he didn't know how to use it. This raw one-take approach allowed him to work quickly and capture ideas organically. One of those early ideas evolved into Hey Ya, another prime example of how constraints can fuel creativity rather than hinder it. So after the call, he took those rough sketches to a larger studio, collaborating with instrumentalists to help build on his ideas. Over the next 3 weeks, he pushed himself relentlessly, spending countless hours in the studio.
Andre had studios going everywhere. He had mastering going on. He had a couple of mix rooms going on. He had an ensemble of studios going to make the deadline. He was working his ass off. I went to the studio to visit.
Once finished, Andre played the complete project for L.A. Reid, and when he pressed play, he was amazed.
I could not believe what I was hearing, man. And he played me Hey Ya. And I was like, oh my God.
But the story doesn't end there. 3 Stacks deciding to do an album didn't lead to a fairy tale reconciliation. Big Boy's feelings about Andre's sudden involvement were complex. He wasn't too thrilled about the idea of Andre joining his project at the last minute, and he doubted he could deliver quality work under such tight constraints. When he first heard Andre's material, he thought it was weak.
I'm happy that Big Boy had The Way You Move, because I think they doubted Andre's album.
Hell yeah,
they thought he didn't want to put Andre album out because he didn't think that shit was right.
From Big Boy's perspective, his frustration was understandable. He already had a single that they knew was going to be a problem.
I heard I Like the Way You Move, so I felt confident that we had like a big single.
If you've spent time perfecting your solo work, would you want someone else adding their own material at the last minute? What if their contribution fell short and affected yours because the 2 projects were packaged together? As fate would have it, both Andre 3000 and Big Boy achieved massive solo success with their singles. Andre's Hey Ya went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, while Big Boy's The Way You Move climbed to #2, both charting simultaneously. Their album, Speakerboxxx and The Love Below, went on to win Album of the Year at the Grammys, making it one of the few rap albums to win this award. Actually, no other rap album has achieved this since.
We love y'all. Thank you very much. Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music. Thank you very much. You're smelting.
The album's success brought them a lot of fame and fortune, but the pressure and spotlight became even more overwhelming. It caused a significant rift between the two, and Andre quickly disappeared from the public eye.
They came to Outkast. The show was for $5 million for one show. And Dre said, I want to do it, but I can't confirm right now that I'm going to do it.
It was so big at the time, bro. Like, they probably turned down $100 million just on shows.
They got like $1 million a show. Whew. And after that, all the promoters that was a part of that tour was like, we'll give y'all $2 million. Dre like, man, I told y'all I wasn't doing it no more. I was done.
It's just so much shit that started happening in his true life, and I think all of our lives, that it just made him be like, damn, bro, like, the only way I could just be normal is to walk away.
According to close sources, Big Boy still feels a sense of unfairness about how things went down.
Dre, doing what he did, was also a part of a bigger picture. And I had to break this down to Big Boy because he'd been mad about it for a long time. And this happened probably a few months ago.
We've discussed 2 albums that were made relatively quickly, but now let's go into the extreme. In 1996, Tupac Shakur was at the height of his career, riding high of the success of All Eyes on Me, but he wasn't satisfied.
Pac was the type of guy that you go in the studio and he'll complete 5 songs in one day. That's the reason for him having all the joints that he has right now. I mean, he has like another 4 albums.
As someone who was already known for his relentless work ethic, Tupac set out to do something even more extraordinary. He wanted to create an entire album in just 3 days under his new moniker, Makaveli. His original plan wasn't to sell it, but to press CDs himself and give them out for free on the streets. Many around him believed Tupac sensed his time was running out. It was as if he was racing against the clock and was determined to leave a mark before his untimely passing.
I asked him one day, like, you know, how do you work like that? And that was the thing. Tomorrow ain't promised to no man. You know what I'm saying? He had an urgency to everything he did in his life. Nothing could wait. So I really believe he understood the clock, because he would just go. And it was like, oh man, let's just hold off. No, right now.
Pac was a workaholic. He wasn't the type of person that you would see, like, let's go to the club. He wasn't always in clubs. He was just an individual that was focused on work, especially when he came home from prison. You know, Pac was the type, we'd leave the studio late at night and he'd have to be on a movie set at 5 a.m. He used to say, I'm going to be up at 5 a.m. to leave. Everybody be ready to leave at 5 a.m. You know, very focused. He took everything he did serious.
On movie sets, he'd write scripts and lyrics in his trailer. When he wasn't filming, he was in the studio, working with an intensity that sometimes made him look crazy. Everything had to move at lightning speed.
We don't have time or the luxury to spend all of this time doing one song. We don't have it. We gotta somehow find a way that we can double up on it. Cause I did my whole album, I know it ain't all of that, but I did my whole album like 3 songs a day. Man, get that beat popping, throw them niggas on the track. You catch everybody freestyling, throw them niggas on the track. Boom, that's just the name of the song is whatever this nigga said his last word was.
Whoever finished their verses first got to be on the track. Yet Tupac always came prepared, outpacing everyone else. He was so intense that sometimes he'd tell the members of the Outlaws to monitor the engineers. And if any mistakes were made, they were expected to handle it harshly.
Muta, Fatal, stand behind him. Next time he fuck up, knock his motherfucking ass out.
The Don Illuminati project, later known as the 7-Day Theory, was recorded over 3 days at Can-Am Studios. Initially titled the 3-Day Theory, Tupac planned for it to reflect the rapid pace of its creation. But Suge Knight, being the businessman he was, saw the potential for massive commercial success. He persuaded Tupac to release it as an official album, also to tweak the title and refine the artwork. Even with this relentless pace, the album didn't suffer in quality. Out of this madness came masterpieces like Hail Mary, which is regarded as one of Tupac's greatest songs. What makes the 7-Day Theory so great isn't just the speed of its creation, it's the enduring brilliance of the music. It wasn't the rushed, lackluster music that you might expect. It stands as a testament to Tupac's genius and his ability to deliver under crazy amounts of pressure.